Today, we conclude my video series, What is Reality? Awareness and its Activity. We'll be reviewing the most fundamental elements from parts 1 through 6 and then tying everything together in a simple but powerful way. So stick around for parts 1 and part 2. I guarantee it will change the way that you perceive reality and your incredible position right at the center of it all. I have so many questions. I'm afraid. Should I follow the legend? Should I go? What is true? Can I go straight? How can I know the truth? Welcome back, everyone, to An Ordinary Search for Truth. My name is Nate, and today we're going to be bringing together all 6 parts thus far of my What is Reality? Awareness and Its Activity video series. If you haven't been exposed to much non dual philosophy or a biocentric universe kind of thinking, then a lot of what I've shared up to this point might have been a little bit difficult to understand. And this makes sense. Most of the society that I was raised in here in America, and the society that you've probably been raised in, has taught you from a young age that first there was matter and energy, the Big Bang. Boom, there was everything. And then through causal billiard ball types of physics and mechanics, energy and matter became so complex that the phenomenon of consciousness arose. This consciousness is such a fundamental part of what we feel that we are and our experience as an experiencer. As consciousness, we are able to have experience and feel sensations and think about ourselves in relation to our experiences and the universe as a whole. Not many of us stop to question this assumption about matter and energy producing consciousness that has been taught us from a young age. I chose to question this, and what I found after rigorous and comprehensive research is that in our direct experience of reality and of ourselves, consciousness is not a phenomenon appearing within matter and energy, but matter and energy are a phenomenon appearing within consciousness. This is a very critical shift to make, and it changed the entire way that I view everything. The subject of this video is not to try to prove to you through science and evidence and logic, which would take, hours and be quite dull, perhaps. To an extent, I've already done this in other videos, so I won't be doing it here. The purpose of this video and of my entire series has been to show you how reality operates and your place within it when looking from the perspective that consciousness or awareness is primary and fundamental to reality. So I began in part 1 right at the source. What is awareness? How does awareness create you and everything? How can you come to see this through your own direct experience so that you don't have to take my word for it or anyone else's word for it? It doesn't have to be a belief. How can you know this directly? Awareness is what you're experiencing right now as you're watching this video. You are aware. If you weren't aware, you wouldn't even have any awareness to know that you weren't. So you are aware of the screen and this video that you're watching. You're aware of the sounds, including my voice and maybe whatever other sounds are in the room. You're probably aware of the other sights around your surroundings, the feeling of your body, your thoughts, the entire spectrum of your experience. But you're aware of all of it. That's the one thing that is consistent. All of this in your experience exists because you are aware of it. If you weren't aware of it, it would no longer exist. And if you had no awareness, there could be nothing known, including yourself. I broke down awareness into 3 general states: awareness in its resting state, its manifesting state, and its processing state. In other words, we can break down awareness into your fundamental self, your subjective experience, and your thoughts about yourself and your subjective experience. If you look at your experience, you can see these three states happening in your day to day life. Yourself is that which is there, even when you're deeply asleep. It's there throughout every sensation and experience that you have, both when you're awake and when you're dreaming. And it's there watching every thought that you have about all of it. This is pure awareness or pure being. It's what you fundamentally are. And like I mentioned earlier, awareness is not just at the root of everything in regards to you. Without awareness, nothing could be known by anyone, anywhere. No universe, no science, no theories, no Big Bang, no religion, no God, no me, no you, nothing. Even nothingness couldn't be known without awareness to know it. And to take things just a step further, reality logically must be one. There must be some unifying underlying principle to everything that's consistent and present throughout all that is real, everywhere, every time. This is why scientists have been trying so hard to create a unifying theory of the universe, because intuitively we know that the building blocks and the rules that exist on the smallest scale must be the same building blocks and rules that exist on the largest scale. So, when talking about awareness, I'm saying that awareness is this unifying principle. We don't have to look any further. This is it. What is there? Studying and observing and thinking and doing science about the smallest and the biggest things. Awareness is. Awareness is there through it all. So, awareness must be fundamental to everything that is. And there's no way for us as awareness to prove otherwise. We cannot prove that anything exists outside of our awareness of it. Part one was really a big bite to take because, everything in existence falls under the subject of awareness. But I did my best to break it down and make it simpler to comprehend. So then in part two, after understanding a bit more about what awareness is and the three states that it moves between, I dove a little bit deeper into the specific activity of the processing state, or what we could call the activity of thought. I focused on this state because almost everyone is extremely involved in the activity of the processing state. We're all thinking quite a bit. And the processing state is actually what causes most of the unhappiness and suffering that we experience, all of our problems. And this is what spirituality is really trying to help us overcome. Thought is all of the imagined sensations and words that appear to us within the body or in the mind, rather than from what we directly perceive to be the external world. We don't think out here, we think in here. This includes memories, internal dialogue, and imagination. And all of these are the activity of processing what we perceive in some way. And I brought up a critical point that I then expanded upon in the following four videos, that much of what this processing activity does is polarize and separate. I brought up the example of a bar magnet. We could say that awareness, perceiving a bar magnet before processing, would see the magnet as a unified whole, whereas after processing might make distinctions. And through thought, it would start seeing it as two separate and distinct parts, the positive side and the negative side. This is just a small example, and it is just a metaphor, but it can be applied to almost every aspect of our lives. We look at our experiences that we have, and as we process them, they go from being neutral experiences to being good or being bad experiences. And we look at the people that come into our lives, and when we think about their behavior or their words or how they look, then they become good people or bad people. We think about our own traits and our own behaviors, and some of these become good aspects of ourselves, and some of these become bad aspects of ourselves. We start seeing the world and ourselves in a dualistic, polarized way. This is good. This is not. I want the good. I don't want the bad. And these are the two forces that really drive the story of our life. But experience, again, is inherently neutral. So these opposing forces that separate and divide our experience are actually self created by the activity of processing or the activity of thought that we engage in. This processing happens in many ways. It could include judging, gossiping, making assumptions, arguing, criticizing, labeling, basically anything that we have to think or say about our experience is going to have some level of processing applied to it. And some thoughts and words cause more division and suffering than others do. In parts 3 through 6, I discussed the most fundamental, deepest polarizations that occur within our experience and how they can affect our lives. If reality must be fundamentally one, and we take awareness as being that unifying principle, then all polarizations that happen within awareness or within the self. So the first line that's drawn, I discuss in part 3. This is the line between self and other. Before this line is drawn, we move between the activities of resting awareness and manifesting awareness, but we've not yet been taught the activity of processing or the activity of thinking. That's something that we are taught, that we develop and learn over the years. Babies and young children see the world in a very pure and magical way because they haven't yet learned language, which is probably the most powerful method of processing. They take their experience very literally, very face value, and they see reality as it is without superimposing upon it their thoughts about it or their assumptions and theories about it or their beliefs about it. They don't really compare what's happening in the moment to memories that they have of what happened in the past and think, well, this is good and that was bad, or vice versa. Much of spirituality is, in essence, returning to this very childlike state of pure experiencing through unlearning the methods of processing that we picked up throughout the years. So, this first imaginary line is drawn in our experience. This happens at a very young age where we make a distinction between what is me and what is not me. We are taught the idea that we are a separate entity, that what is not happening inside of our body is not us, it's something else. And when this idea is accepted to be true, you and the universe are born in the exact same instant as two separate things. Before this happens, reality is perceived as it is, as a undivided, unified, non-dual whole. You are everything, and everything is you until you accept the idea that you are only your body. What a shift that we go through, if you think about it, where you go from feeling that you are infinite to feeling that you are so very, very small. And because of this fundamental shift in identity, the polarization of desire and fear naturally arises as a result. When this happens, we lose the innate feeling that we are complete and fulfilled. And so desire is born. If I'm not enough, then I need to go into the external world and look for what will complete me, what will make me feel fulfilled. And also, if I'm not enough, I fear that I could become even less enough for someone or something. Or after gaining all these things in the external world that make me feel more fulfilled, I feared that I could lose those things. So again, desire and fear arise at the same time and depend upon one another. Desire we associate with the parts of experience that we deem good and that we feel will make us feel complete. And we seek those things out. And those parts that we see as bad or those things that will leave us feeling less fulfilled, we avoid or we fear. Then desire splits into the desire for comfort and the desire for excitement. Fear splits into the fear of death and the fear of lack. From there, our experience continues to divide and polarize and separate in an infinite number of ways until our entire experience is broken up into separate, distinct individual parts or things. Good things, bad things, what we want, what we don't want, what we have, what we don't have, what we like about ourselves, what we don't like about ourselves. Reality goes from being unified and complete to being divided and in many ways lacking. But reality itself doesn't change. Reality is what it is. Our processing of it changes the way that we perceive reality. We superimpose our thoughts and our judgments, and our words and our stories over our experience of reality. And we lose our ability to view it from an unbiased, pure place in the same way that we, when we were young children, did. Now, that's all that I have time for now. So go ahead, like, subscribe, comment if you wish, but stay tuned because conclusion part 2 is coming up right after this, and you'll definitely want to stick around for that. I've got some really amazing stuff there that you will not want to miss. So I'll see you in the next video. Don't worry, I've got a lot more content for you to enjoy. Click the link to the right to see a video that goes hand in hand with what you just watched. On the left is a playlist I recommend you check out. And down below, you can see my latest video release. Your support means the world to me, so thank you.